In this video, we're going to group sheets in order to create a summary page. We're going to begin by looking at our workbook. What we see here, we have 4 weeks, week 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then a summary sheet. But starting at week 1, when you're looking at week 1, we have 5 employees, and these are the hours that they've worked for that week 1. Week 2 is set up in a similar fashion. Week 3, week 4, and then our last sheet. Right now it's called averages, but it is our summary sheet. What our objective is to add those 4 sheets initially. We're going to do a summation, and then later on we're going to do an average of the hours worked for each of the 5 employees. So we're going to start in our actual summary sheet. And what our objective, once again, is to sum the total amount of hours worked for each of the 5 employees. We're going to start in cell G2, auto sum, and then click on week 1. That's the beginning of our summation, starting at week 1. We're then going to click on cell G2. What it's saying up here is, at the moment, is that our formula is saying that we're going to sum week 1, cell G2. In fact, what we want to do is to sum week 1 G2 for week 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what we have to do in order to do that is to hold down the Shift key and left click on week 4. What it's showing right now is that we now have a formula equal to, beginning at sheet number week 1 through week 4 in cell G2. Click the check mark. Here's our answer, which is 30, but once again, that 30 is derived from the formula where it's saying sum. And we're going to sum starting at sheet week 1 through week 4 in cell G2. We can then go to our fill handle, copy across, and then copy down. No matter what, if you click on any of the cells, it's always going to be showing what your pattern is. We're summing starting at sheet 1 all the way over to week 4 in the given cell. So that's how we do our summation. In order to do our average, it's going to be very similar. So I'm going to start off by highlighting this area and then deleting. So we're going to average for each of the employees the amount of hours worked starting at week 1 all the way through week 4. Auto sum, average. Click on sheet week 1 because that's our beginning point, starting at week 1. In cell G2. So we're averaging week 1, starting in G2 to get the sheets grouped, or basically to have that average be from week 1 through week 4. Next, what we want to do is hold down the Shift key and left click on week 4. That's our end point. These sheets are now grouped. But more importantly, when you look at that average or that formula, it's saying average starting at week 1 all the way through week 4 in cell G2. Hit the check mark, come up here, in our summary sheet, which is in fact averages. It's showing average starting at week 1 all the way to week 4 in G2. Let's copy our pattern across and then copy our pattern down. And when we look at our summary sheet, we're getting some error messages here about dividing through 0. Just quickly looking back, even at week 4, it seems as if the Saturdays and Sundays are a problem. And the reason is, or it's due to the fact that there's all zeros here. There's nothing in those cells for Saturday and Sunday. So that's why we're getting those zeros. Now that looks quite ugly. You know, you can't have an average based upon 0. In order to rectify that error, we're going to start off and we're going to keep our formula the same, but we're going to add one more argument. So we're in G2. We're going to come up here and we're going to insert another function, and it's called if error. So right now it's saying if error, if there's an error averaging these weeks, come over here, comma, space, quotes, or exclamation, quotes, quotes, space, quotes, close the function. Come over here. Now once again, now what's happened here? We inserted if error, comma, quotes, space, quotes. So in other words, it's saying is that if there is an error, if there's some type of 0 within that function, if that's true, then we're going to leave a space or a blank. That's what the quotes mean. Quote, space, quote. Leave it as a blank. Let's come over here. Over here, we're copying a pattern all the way down. Once again, what's happened now is that those mistakes have disappeared, or the error message. The reason why that error message has changed. Our basic function is still the same, average starting at week 1 all the way to week 4. But we've inserted this other function, and it's called if error. It's a pretty powerful little function. If error, then what you're doing is you're doing a function, and if there is an error, comma, leave it a blank. And I mean, that's what the quotation, space, quotation means. Thank you.